Malaysian Armed Forces, one of the largest recipients of donations from the US government. This includes gifts of coastal radars, UAVs, and components from maritime patrol aircraft. But despite receiving millions of dollars in aid and training from the US government, this shocking video began circulating on TikTok in 2023.
Satu hari nanti kau pasti aku bunuh kak. Satu hari nanti aku bunuh kau semua.
It showed a Malaysian army personnel making remarks to an unsuspecting US soldier. The chilling message in Malay was clear: "One day I will kill you." Equally chilling are the comments in the video, which cheered what he said. Have Malaysians developed a hatred for the West? How did this come about? Stick around as we discuss the country that is slowly turning its back on the West for China. The Luconia Shoals, a reef complex that lies just 80 nautical miles from the shores of Sarawak. Despite being in Malaysia's economic zone and more than 2,000 kilometers away from China, a Chinese vessel had remained on station near the shoal almost all year round in 2023. And at least one Chinese vessel is probably still there as you're watching this video. Neither the Malaysian Navy nor its Coast Guard has been able to chase it away. It is the same posture taken by the Malaysian Armed Forces in June 2021. When 16 People's Liberation Army Air Force aircraft flew into Malaysia's exclusive economic zone to carry out formation exercises near Sabah. But strangely, despite these ongoing territorial incursions by China, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim told reporters in March 2024 that the country does not have a problem with China. Anwar's remarks echoes those made by then Malaysian Foreign Affairs Minister Hishamuddin Hussein, who in 2021 bafflingly referred to China as Big Brother. This seemingly servile attitude that Malaysian leaders have taken with regards to China may be a reflection of the sentiments of the Malaysian population in general. In a recent survey conducted by the ISIS Yusof Ishak Institute on ASEAN inclinations, a whopping 75.1% of Malaysians indicated that they would side with China in the event that ASEAN countries are forced to align with either the US or China. This is the highest among all respondents in Southeast Asia. As such, this makes Malaysia the most pro-China country in ASEAN, which is puzzling given the number of Malaysian territories, including oil and gas fields, that are now claimed by China in the South China Sea, just off the state of Sabah. Even more puzzling is the fact that Malaysia as a country continues to receive far more aid from Western countries like the US than China, especially in terms of military equipment and training opportunities. So why is the US falling out of favor with the Malaysians? The first answer can be found in current religious inclinations. Religion plays a very large and public role in Malaysia, and the strain of religion that is growing in the country is one that is evidently political. Places of worship are no longer sanctuaries for contemplation as it was in the past, but have become arenas to discuss politics and world events. Popular preachers from within the country and overseas regularly turn their religious sermons into platforms to give their opinions on world events, including on conflicts such as the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. Narrow narratives are often pushed during sermons by many other preachers, and Western countries and its allies are often painted as oppressors of the Muslims. As such, it comes as no surprise how the Malay population in Malaysia has grown increasingly hostile towards the West, even threatening to kill soldiers from the very country that has trained and donated equipment to Malaysia. It has come to the point that American business chains, including Starbucks, are now subject to boycotts across Malaysia because they're American. A second reason that could explain why Malaysians are favoring China is less obvious, but it may have something to do with China's state-sponsored online propaganda, most notably via an online mechanism known colloquially as the 50 Cent Army. The objective of this 50 Cent Army is to propagate favorable news regarding China and to stem the flow of negative information that is tied to the CCP. The organization also regularly spreads unfavorable views of Western countries, and these are done primarily via social media posts and comments. Reportedly, the commenters are paid 0.5 RMB for every favorable post they make. Hence the name the 50 Cent Army, and it reportedly has 300,000 personnel worldwide. In Malaysia, there have been no documented efforts to formally study this organization and the effect that it may have had on Malaysians, especially Chinese Malaysians. But judging from the amount of pro-China comments on Malaysian social media sites, it can be safely deduced that the organization is indeed targeting Malaysia. And this may explain why so many Malaysians, especially the older generations, often rally on the side of China whenever there is controversy regarding the country. And this is perhaps also why so many Muslim Malaysians remain ambivalent about the systematic oppression of Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang, despite the pogrom having reportedly killed thousands of Muslims over the past decade, a number that could very well compare with the fatalities sustained in Gaza thus far. And here's where it gets concerning with regards to racial relations in Malaysia. On one hand, we have Malays who have grown increasingly insular and hostile towards the West. On the other, a Chinese population that increasingly finds solace in the Chinese identity, given the increasingly insular attitudes taken on by their Malay brethren. This is concerning as the two groups mutually reinforce the identity of the other. As Malay Malaysians get more insular and more hateful of the West, Chinese Malaysians will increasingly turn towards China as their cultural saviors. As such, Malaysia's growing inclination for China over the US can perhaps be viewed as a symptom of the growing insularity of the different communities that make up Malaysia rather than a true hatred for the West. And this must be closely watched, especially by Malaysia's neighbours who share the same ethnic makeup as Malaysia, such as Singapore, where concerns of the Malaysian Malay and Chinese communities might spill over into the communities of their respective populations. What are your opinions about why Malaysia has grown more fond of China? Do leave your comments below and drop us a subscription and a thumbs up if you have enjoyed this discussion.